Many years ago, in the south of Gotland, there lived a farming couple who had a daughter, Elsa. As she was the only child, she was in all ways spoiled, and her parents did everything to fulfill even her littlest wishes. As soon as she left home to study, she went to the city to learn to sew and acquire city habits. But what she learned instead was to wear fine clothes and despise household chores and manual labor even more than she did before. When she was 20 years old, she was proposed to by a hard-working, competent, and honorable farmer, Gunnar of Fridarve, and before a few months had passed, they became man and wife. To begin with, everything was happy and delightful. But soon, Elsa began to sadden at all the headaches that managing a household entails. Early one morning, right before Christmas, there was a hustle and a bustle on Gunnar's farm. Hardly had Elsa gotten out of bed before Ole, the farmhand, stepped in and said, "The mistress surely has the lunch bags prepared, for we must depart for the forest now if we are to return with the firewood before the sun sets." "Dear mistress, the bread dough is now rising," cried one of the farm maids in the door. "If the mistress could come out, it would be terribly nice." The butcher, Zachris, who had already stuck a large boar and several piglets, had just stepped in to get, according to custom, the sticking tipple, when old Britta came rushing in and asked after yarn for the candle wicks. At last came Gunnar himself, and he was a little cross because the farmhand still had not left for the woods. "My blessed mother," he said with a kindly but serious voice, "always put everything in order the night before when people had early morning chores. And dear Elsa, I have asked you to do this before. But one more thing. Do not forget the loom, my beloved. It only has a few yards left. It just won't do for it to stand idle in the guest house over the weekend." Now Elsa ran out of patience. Heatedly, she rushed out of the kitchen, into the guest house, slammed the door and locked it, and threw herself down on a sofa, sobbing. "No," she cried, "I simply cannot live this thrall's life. Who could believe that Gunnar only wanted me for his wife to slave away on the farm? Oh, how unhappy I am! Is there no one who can help me and comfort me? A poor woman." "I can," sounded a serious voice, and in front of her stood an old man with snow-white hair and a broad-brimmed hat on his head. "Do not be afraid," he said. "I come to offer you the help for which you have just wished. My name is Hoburgsgubben. I know your family back to the 10th and 11th generations. It was the forefather of your family who asked me to stand as godfather for his firstborn. I could not come to the baptism, but I did send a good godfather's gift, for in no way did I want to be the worst. The silver I gave became no blessing, for it fostered arrogance and sloth. The wealth has long since gone out of your family, but the arrogance and sloth remains. Nonetheless, I will help you, for deep down you are good and kind. You complain over the thraldom you now suffer," he said after a silence. "It comes from the fact that you are unused to work, but I shall give you 10 obedient servants who shall help you and faithfully support you in your duties." In the same moment, he shook his cloak, and 10 small, peculiar creatures hopped out and began to set the room in order. "Show me your fingers," the man commanded Elsa. Trembling, she reached her hands towards the man, whereon the old man said, "Tommy Thumb, Peter Pointer, Toby Tallman, Ruby Ring, little Pinky Funny Thing, quickly, to your places." In a flash, the 10 servant spirits vanished into Elsa's fingers, and the man, too, disappeared. The young housewife sat a long while, staring at her hands, but soon she felt a remarkable desire to work. Then, with unusual joy and resolve, she burst out, "Here I sit and dream, and it is already 7. Out there in the cottage, everyone is waiting for me." And Elsa hurried out and began to tend to her chores. And not just that day, but all days she went to her chores as if to a dance. No one knew what had happened, but everybody wondered about the sudden change. But no one was happier and well pleased than the young housewife herself, for whom work had become a need, and under her hands the household blossomed and became prosperous and was cherished.